Are you finding that your Mark III miners are just starting to get way too out of hand and are turning into an absolute mess of load balanced conveyors and smelters everywhere? Well, have no fear. Let's turn this mess into a organized load balanced distribution array of smelters. So sit back, relax, and let's jump into it. Now, I know this is probably a little bit of an extreme that most people don't have their conveyor systems turning into something like this, but believe it or not, this is a load balanced pile of garbage that is feeding to 26 smelters, smelting iron, and then I have it all just getting dumped into an awesome sink over here. But this is actually running at 100% and working away here in this twisted up mess, and it actually was quite a process just to actually make this function. But we're going to lay this out so that it's a nice streamlined look for a load balanced distribution of 780 items. And we'll have equal distribution of 780 items going to a load balanced setup. So we're going to have to start by tearing all this down and having a nice clean slate to work with. Okay, we've got a nice clean slate here. Everything is all been cleaned up from that massive mess of just a huge pile of garbage that I had for a 780 item load balanced smelter array. So we've got our pure iron node here. So first things first is we want to get set up with a nice platform with a foundation. Anything that you want to build on, start off with foundations. So that's what we're going to get started with. All right, so we have a basic foundation structure laid out here, and I've made this pad wide enough because we are going to have 26 smelters set up on it. So we're basically ready to go now to actually start laying out some equipment. And the first thing I'm going to start with is I'm going to get all of the smelters in place. Okay, we have all of our smelters set up. There's 26 smelters all lined up here. And I've got the power poles and everything run to them so that we can get everything all hooked up. So the next thing that our smelter array here is going to need is our first phase or first stage of splitters to be able to equally distribute 30 items into each of these. Now there is a pattern that I need to get set up on these, so I'm going to get that all put in, and they're all going to be feeding Mark 1 conveyors into each smelter. So we'll get that set up, and then you can have a look and see what that looks like. All right, so we have the first row of splitters all set up that are going to be feeding our 30 items per minute into the smelters. Now there's a little bit of a pattern that we've set up on here for these. These first two splitters are only feeding 2 smelters, and then as we travel along here, the next ones here all in the middle are feeding 3 smelters in until we get all the way back down to this end here, and these 2 are only feeding 2 smelters. And the reason for that is these first 2 and last 2 smelters here are going to be receiving 60 items per minute, where all of the remaining splitters are going to be getting a total of 90 items per minute, which of course equally divides into 30 for the smelters that are there. And the way we accomplish that is a little bit of trickery, being able to use some belt speeds and some mergers to loop back some materials, because it is actually kind of a challenge to take 780 items coming off of a Mark III miner that's overclocked and equally distribute it across 26 smelters. Mathematically, you think it works really well, but the correct amount of splitting that you're required to be able to do it does take a little bit of a process. So now we're going to put the next line of splitters in here that kind of steps up to the next speed variable that we're going to be working with. All right, the next phase of this conveyor distribution gets a little bit more complicated. So this is where we really start to take advantage of our conveyor speed. So I've added in the next layer of splitters, and I think at this point it's going to be a little bit easier to kind of explain what's happening from our feed that's coming from the Mark III miner. So the Mark III miner is going to be overclocked, and we're going to get 780 items coming to here. It then hits this splitter. 390 items is going to go in that direction. 390 items is going to go into this direction. Now we're only going to explain kind of one side of this as to what's happening. So we come down this 390 items and we come to another splitter. 390 divided by 2, that is 195 items going this way and 195 items going this way. So let's start on this one here. So we hit this splitter. So we have 195 items coming into this splitter here. And then I'm using a Mark 1 conveyor that is going to feed 60 items per minute into there and 60 items per minute into this one. And that leaves a remainder of 75 items per minute that's running on a Mark 2 belt that is going to feed back over here into this merger, which is in turn merging with the 195 items that are coming through here. This 75 merges with it, which gives us 270 items per minute as an output, which then gets divided 3 ways. So we have 90, 90, and 90 going into these splitters. Next, these splitters then divide again 30 items, 30 items, and 30 items. And this whole setup is an exact mirror over here. So let's fly up top here so you can get a better idea and an overall look and see what this all looks like from above. And of course, to get full advantage of what this actually looks like, we actually need to go into our little picture mode here, and we need to zoom right out so you can have a look at what 780 items looks like, equally load balanced so that all of these smelters will get the same amount of items at 30 items per minute feeding into them. And it's actually not, I was expecting this to be really quite a spread out process, but really it's a very neat and organized layout. And I'm going to make available a link. I did actually a graph drawing of, I wanted to figure out the math on this before I went and actually built this array, just to kind of see, okay, what is this legit going to look like? And so I did it all up on graph paper, and I figured out the math, and I put all of the belt speeds on there. So we're using all of the various belts. We're using Mark 1 belts. We step up to Mark 2. We step up then to Mark 3. And then Mark 4 splits off to go to each one of our halves. And then Mark 5 is feeding the entire system. So we're taking full advantage of all of the belt systems that are available to us with Satisfactory on this. So the only thing now is to fire this up, and I'm going to put some output on this. For now, I'm just going to have everything dumping into an awesome sync, but we'll get this all fired up here and see how the system's looking when it's running. All right, I've got the output line all set up here. We've got all of these mergers all set up. It's feeding in from both sides, combining into this middle one, and then getting just dumped into this awesome sync. Put a nice catwalk around the outside of this because, everybody at FICSIT knows it's safety, or at least the perception of safety first. So we've got railings and catwalks to avoid falling off the platform here. But we're going to turn this system on now and see how all of this ends up running. Now, unlike some of the other equal load balanced systems that pretty much turn on basically instantly, this one does there is a little bit of a warm-up time. There's about 2-3 minute warm-up time for this system to actually get to running at 100%. And it's just because of the different speeds of belts that we have throughout here. So it takes a little bit for the items to kind of filter through everything. But I've done a test on this. I've seen what I can do. And after 3 minutes, 4 minutes or so, it ends up, all of them end up lighting up green, and they're all putting out items. We're getting 780 items into that awesome sink. So let's turn this baby on, and we're just going to swing down here. We're going to flip our standby switch. That's going to fire this back up and running again. We're going to fly up top here, and we're just going to take a moment to watch all of these materials distributing throughout the system. It really is quite a process here. So we're going to scroll out so you can actually see this. We're going to toggle off the UI so you get a clearer view. And you'll see the odd little smelter click on and start producing some items, and then it'll disappear. And it's just kind of as items are starting to flow through and get equally distributed. Obviously, the ones that are the furthest away are going to take the longest for them to start up. So that's basically the smelters that are right in the middle. They're actually got a fair distance to travel, those ingots, before those turn on. And same with the ones on the far outside edge. But as you can see here, I'd say we're about 80% running efficient right now. And we're slowly getting to that point. And it really doesn't take long before everything's just running. And all of them are full bore. And we don't ever see any of them kind of flick off at all. In fact, I'm looking at this right now, and everything seems to be lit green. But this to me is what I think Satisfactory is all about. Seeing your work and seeing all of the materials flowing through this system to produce something at the end game. It is a visually pleasing experience to be able to see these items traveling through their various conveyors here. So let's just fly down here and have a better look and just kind of cruise along with the items as they're making the journey. So we are 780 items per minute coming along here. We then flip this way and we're 390 items per minute. And then we hit this splitter and we're 195 in each direction. But wait, we then split here. We got 60 going into these two splitters, and then we have 75 that's backfeeding over this way to this merger so that we can get a combined 270 items flowing into this splitter that then feeds equally into these 3 sets of 3 smelters to be able to produce our items. And of course that's mirrored over on this side as well. And then we have all of those items filtering down through our production line here to our awesome sink that is now getting 780 items per minute of iron ingots fed in permanently, or whatever we end up building off of this platform. But there you have it. That is how you equally load balance. I'm going to show up right now in your screen. You are seeing the graph that I had used, or sorry, the graph paper I used with the kind of manual layout of how I wanted to build this. And then of course we built it. I will leave a link in the description so that you guys can have this picture, so that you can take this if you want to have a load balance distribution system in your own factory. With that said, guys, please reach down, hit the like button on the video, subscribe if you are new to the channel. Reach over and click that notification bell so you can be notified when videos go live. And you guys are sitting right now, the view counts on my videos, I'd say 80% of you are not subscribed. So if you could reach over and click that subscribe button, that would be fantastic. You can also follow me on social media at TerrisDWDC, and that's on Instagram and Twitter. With that all said, you guys have a good one, and we will see you in the next video.